For the longest time, the word period is usually uttered in hushed voices and is almost seen as a taboo. This has resulted in young girls and women having limited access to menstrual education and basic sanitary care products. Hello and welcome to India this morning. Joining me today is a very special guest, Prakshi Shaha. She is a law student and founder director of Har Adhikar Foundation. She has done extensive campaigning on period poverty and has also worked with adolescents in areas of sexual and reproductive health rights and legal literacy. Welcome to India this morning, Prakshi.
Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in. Tell us, what is period poverty according to you?
So, period poverty is menstruating people not being able to access facilities that is just required for their healthy menstruation. It, of course, begins with accessibility to period products. But also the larger problem is wash facilities, so they do not have access to clean water, sanitation, toilets.
Period poverty is an alarming issue. So I want to know about your campaign.
Two programs which we run. The first is, of course, tackling period poverty, where we fundraise and we buy period products and we distribute it. So our target audience mostly is people living in urban slums. So we make sure we give them reusable, sustainable products which will last them at least 5 years. And of course, basic, telling them why menstruation happens and why maintaining hygiene is important, because a lot of them follow the myths of not taking a shower, maybe all of that, which is not healthy for them. So we take workshops in schools to just, tell them everything about periods, the physiological aspects, product choice. We bust all the myths for them and tell them that it's completely healthy, normal.
The older women, younger, the urban, rural, all of them have in common is this whole stigma that they're subjected to. Now, where do you think that this is stemming from?
Root cause of the problem is, of course, patriarchy, which just unnecessarily puts a lot of shame on women's bodies with the aim of controlling our bodies, right? Use it as restrictive methods to stop women from going to places, accessing education, all of these things. When I tell them about this myth busting, they're not open to accepting it, and that's okay, because I really want to acknowledge that if they have believed in something for 20-30 years of their life, it's something their parents, their mothers have taught them, it's very difficult to break that cycle.
How do you think that we collectively as a society can battle this shame and stigma towards menstruation?
So how do we go about it? Of course, targeting younger people is easier. So when you explain it to a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, their receptivities are much better than an older person. Say, go to take a workshop, and sometimes, these urban slums, I meet a lot of women in their 30s, 40s. And so I give it a lot of time. I listen to them. You put the onus on the thing that, we care about you, we care about your health. Then slowly a lot of them open up. They're even sometimes ashamed to go to a doctor because they don't have a safe space where they can talk about these issues. Not to push our solutions on them, but hear them out and prioritize their health, their opinions. That can really go a long way.
Absolutely, yes. What do you think the loopholes are in the menstrual hygiene scheme and policies?
Beginning of the crisis is just policy, not looking at it as a policy concern. People in power are 60-year-old men mostly, so they don't consider how important this is. I think central government scheme where they want to give out pads in 6 rupees, something like that. But what do they do with this pad? They don't have education. They don't know how to use the pad. They don't have toilets. They don't have clean water. They don't know how to dispose the pads. So then what are you really doing? So they're not looking at it from a holistic lens at all.
So if you had to bring any sort of concrete change in policy, what would it be?
So that has to be a 3-pronged approach where you tackle the wash crisis, the product availability, and the awareness. All three has to be targeted together.
Recently a PIL seeking menstrual leave was filed before Supreme Court, and like more often than not, we see an Indian firm announcing that female employees will soon have the option of period leave amounting to 10 days off every year. But do you think such a move will lead towards inclusion, or will it further lead to isolation or ghettoization of women? What do you think is the need of the hour?
There's some really famous person, I'm not going to name her, but she's like, oh, we don't need period leave because we can manage everything on our periods. And I'm like, you can, but a lot of women cannot. So the moment you say that, you really exclude a lot of women who has endometriosis, who have really painful periods, dysmenorrhea, and that's very exclusionary.
I just want to know what is like your future aspirations and vision for Har Adhikar. What are you like working on?
Is of two of our new curriculums. One is on comprehensive sexuality education, and the second is digital safety and well-being, all of which is targeted towards adolescents and young adults. So that is, it's been going on for a couple of months. We're going to launch it sometime this month. So that is there. We have an upcoming collaboration with Teach for India, Pune, where we're supposed to, take workshops in more than 20 of their schools. One thing that, I really, really hope menstruation does not stop a child's education. That's the only thing I would want to manifest every day.
Thank you so much, Prakshi, and all the very best. I am Shreya Ghosh. You're watching India This Morning.